Hey Stampers, it's Linda Schmidt with Stampin' with the Hounds. Today I have a fun technique. It's called glow stamping. And in this, what you're doing is you're using solid images and using a white pigment ink pad, and then stamping on top of that with a colored ink pad onto either like a darker or a neutral kind of colored cardstock. So, and then what I like to do is I'm actually offsetting it a little bit, so I've got that white shadow kind of showing through, but that is a totally optional on how you do it. But this one, so I stamped on crumb cake, which is kind of like a lighter craft cardstock. This one I did pool party, which is like a light blue, and then I had stamped the white, and then I offset it using the evening evergreen, so it almost has, then you can kind of see what it looks like with the white, and then it also just stamping that color directly onto the colored cardstock, so you kind of get those three colors showing through, which is kind of fun. So that was pool party. This one I stamped on soft suede, and then again, this is that soft succulent stamped directly on top of the white craft pad. So you can kind of see you know, here where I've got that white showing through. On this one I didn't do that. I just stamped directly on top of it, but you can still get that nice kind of chalky appearance by doing that. And then same thing on this one, I just used gray granite cardstock, and then I did the what is this new purple? I always forget. It is called, oh, Fresh Frieza on that one. So that's, again, directly stamped on top of it. This one, it didn't turn out as well. I did, I think it was So Saffron. So it's pretty light. And that was on to Mary Merlot, which is a pretty dark cardstock. But it still shows up having that white underneath there. And then this one I did, so this is our new craft cardstock. So it's a lot darker than our crumb cake, but it still has that, what I call kind of like that paper sack kind of look and feel to it. But it's a nice, really pretty one. And this one, again, I stamped directly on top of the white to give that chalk look. So I'm going to be doing a variation of this one today. But again, it's just, they're so fun kind of seeing how the colors react. Here's another one where I had done Night and Navy as my cardstock, and then I had done the Evening Evergreen on top of it. And then this is one where I had done So Saffron cardstock, and then I had done 4 different colors kind of offsetting it, so that one's kind of another pretty one. And then this one I did Petal Pink cardstock, and then again the colors were directly on top of the white on there. And this one really surprised me because I had stamped on the Pear Pizzazz cardstock, and then I had done the white, and then this color is actually cinnamon cider, but when it dried it really became almost like this brownish purple. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but I was really surprised at after it dried how it looked. I do like how it turned out. But again, that was that Pear Pizzazz as the base. And then here's another one using the soft suede cardstock. And then I had done Pumpkin Pie, Poppy Parade, and Old Olive for my inks that were stamped directly on top of the white craft onto soft suede. So lots of possibilities. I would recommend just grabbing some scrap paper and just testing out how your inks and stuff react. You can use, the ones I'm demoing today are the Stampin' Up dye-based ones, but you can also use, if you have the Oxide, Distress Oxides or the Distress inks, you can use those as well. So this one, just to kind of compare, this is using my Stampin' Up, the one on the right. This is the Stampin' Up inks, which are dye-based. And then this one used the Distress Oxides on, same thing, it's on the craft cardstock. And then again, because these I don't have, they're not Stampin' Up colors, but I tried to grab colors that were somewhat similar to what my original sample was. So I had done the Kitsch Flamingo, the Salvage Patina, the Twisted Citron, and then Wild Honey. So there, and the Distress Oxides, they're kind of a fun inks. These again have a ton of different techniques you can use with them. But again, they will stamp, even you don't really need the white paper, because they do really sit on top of the cardstock. They don't seep into it. So that's another option. If you don't have a white craft pad, you can always just stamp directly onto your colored cardstock with the Distress Oxide ink. So I'm going to get started. So let's grab our, we're going to be doing this one today. And so what I had done is I'm going to use our new craft cardstock. So this comes in 6x6. It's in the, oh, I'm just trying to grab it here. It's in the our Holiday 21 mini catalog. And it is, they come by 6x6 with it. And then, but again, it's just a nice, it's got, you know, a good thickness to it. Nice and sturdy. And then, like I said, it's a little darker than what our crumb cake cardstock is. So just another kind of option to use for your card making. So I've already cut my piece down. It's 3 3/4 by 5. And because I wanted to stamp all of mine at the same time, I'm going to use my Stamparatus. So I've already positioned my paper on here, and I've got my stamps where I want them positioned, and they're just kind of held down by the magnets. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to take your white pigment ink. I've got my white craft pad, and you do want to make sure that it is inked up and not dried out. So I always tend to re-ink my white craft pad quite a bit because I want it nice and juicy and not dried out. So we're just going to tap, 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 make sure everything's inked up. And then I'm just using this little tool. I picked it up from Etsy. I will put a link to it in the description below to the Etsy shop. But it's just a nice tool to use to help press down the images on your Stamparatus. For those of us who have arthritis, it's a game changer. And then I like to make sure it's nice and white, so I'm going to stamp again. And this stamp, it does tend to, this is a Love of Leaves. It does have a little bit of this kind of watercolored look. So it's not always going to appear to be a solid image because it's kind of got that watercolor look to it. But I do want it at least nice and white. Okay. Then you want to make sure this is dry. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this off, and then I will give this paper a quick shot with the heat tool just to make sure, oh yeah, where's my, that it's dry. Because if it's not, it's going to pick up your ink and then kind of make a mess. So I always just say make sure the white ink is nice and dry. So go ahead and clean this stuff off while that's drying. I'm just using a baby wipe. You can also use your chamois. But because this is that white craft, I didn't want it gunking up my chamois because I've got to use it to clean off my stamps as I'm doing the colored ink. So I'm just using a baby wipe right now. Make sure that's all off. And then I'll just give it a quick dry it off. Okay. And then that looks like it's still a little wet, so I'm going to give it a quick shot with my heat tool. And then because I want this to be offset a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift my cardstock over just a titch. I think I was here. So if I go, yeah. So I just moved it over to the left a little bit. And now I can go ahead and re-ink. So I'm going to do one color at a time. So I'm going to do Magenta Madness, which is one of our new in colors. This is it's pretty bright. This is definitely, I always call it the Barbie doll pink because it is super, super bright. Just make sure there's nothing on the other stamp. Da, 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 fun. And then I'm going to go ahead and clean that off because I don't want this getting on the other one. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my green. So we'll ink up this top one. And again, you don't have to do it this way. You can just stamp individually with your clear blocks. I was just trying to use my Stamparatus a little bit more. Okay. I got a little gunk on there. That's okay. I can fix it. I'll put an embellishment there. Ink this one. Actually, what I think I'll do, let's do a little post-it note here when I ink this up so I'm not, there we go. Clean that off so I don't get that on there. There's that. And then we'll do a little Bumblebee. And that one's going to go on this bigger stamp. I'm just going to cover up these with a post-it note so I'm not inking them up by accident. Something like that. And then the last one is going to be Bermuda Bay, and this is going to be that. Make sure I'm not getting any of that. Clean those off. And then sometimes you can go back if you want it a little bit darker. So I'm going to ink this one up one more time. Because I want that Bermuda Bay to be a little bit darker. All right. And then you can just go ahead and clean these off. Okay, and we'll peel this. Okay. So then I just give it a quick shot just to make sure my ink is dry. Okay. All right, and then we'll just put these away so I don't get my card into my ink pads. Okay, then what I like to do is then I layer this onto either a white, kind of like a neutral cardstock, just to make it pop a little bit more. So this one is 4 by 5 1/4 that I'm layering onto, and it's just a piece of basic white. And then my card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's just a half a sheet of cardstock folded in half, and I'm using early espresso. And then that way, just having that white border, it just kind of makes this technique pop a little bit. Make sure that's all good and inked up, or adhered. Okay, and then what I did off screen was I already die cut. I love these. These are our new, this comes from the Words of Cheer bundle. So it comes with this stamp set. So I'm, there's a day you can do like happy day, happy, and then this birthday that I'm making, I actually grabbed it from another stamp set. But the dies, then you've got the happy, and then you've got this kind of fun background with the little branches on it. So you've got that with the happy, and then same thing with the cheer. It has that those little branches, and then you can just do the word cheer that layers on top of it. In addition, it has all these little accessories and things that die cut out the flowers and stuff. So it's a fun die cut. And then this is, like I said, this set and the dies, these are in the holiday mini catalog, and it's called Words of Cheer bundle on that. So I have already die cut 2 of the happies, because I'm going to layer these on top of each other just to give it some dimension. And then I did my happy with the branches in the basic white. So these I'm just going to use a little bit of my liquid glue to adhere them together. And I had used the craft cardstock again for cutting out these dies. And again, layering this with the 2 is totally optional. I just like to give a little bit more dimension without having to use dimensionals, because these are, they're so tiny, it'd be hard to kind of put the dimensionals in there. So this is just another way of adding dimension to your card making by just using up some scraps of paper and layering them together for your die cuts. And then on the back of this, we'll adhere this then onto the white that I already cut out. And I did the white as 1, so this is, by the time I get done, I've got 2 layers of craft and then the 1 layer of white. And then that way it gives it just a little bit of dimension, kind of pops it up. And I like using the liquid glue because you can have a little bit of wiggle room before it completely dries in place, so it helps with these little intricate things. Okay, so now there's that. It's got a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place this on there, and then I already die cut this. So I took the birthday from this stamp set. So I took happy birthday and I only inked up the birthday part, and then I embossed it in white embossing powder onto early espresso cardstock. And then I cut out 3 layers of that espresso, layered them together so that I've got a little bit of dimension on this. So this is going to then get attached onto the card again with the liquid glue. And I can cover up my little boo-boo that I had with that green ink. And then we'll do the birthday. And I think I'll just put this kind of off to the side. All right, and that is it. So that is your glow stamping. So really fun and easy technique. And like I said, just experiment with some scrap paper, different colored cardstocks with your colored inks. And I'd love to see your creation. So thanks again for watching, and I look forward to stamping with you again soon. Bye-bye.